You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
We get to talk about a legacy of music education at Concordia University Chicago today. And I know, Sarah, this story impacts you, and we have some other alumni from Concordia University Chicago. I think all of us are a part of Concordia University Chicago today on this story.
Yes,
today's episode of the Coffee Hour is underwritten in part by Concordia University St. Paul. You can learn more about Concordia University St. Paul by visiting csp.edu. Joining us today, Dr. Richard Fischer, professor of music at Concordia University Chicago. He's been there quite some time. Dr. Fischer, welcome to the Coffee Hour.
Great to be here.
We have some fun stories to share as your time at Concordia University Chicago is winding down as you retire this year, correct?
That is correct.
I'm looking forward to sharing the stories today, reflecting on your time at Concordia University Chicago. Also joining us today, fellow alumni of Concordia University Chicago, Amanda Bowman. Amanda, welcome to the Coffee Hour.
Thank you.
And Adam Friedrich. Adam, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for asking me to be here.
So, Dr. Fischer, let's start with where it all began. Where did your formation as a musician and an educator begin?
Well, on my mother's side, my music really began because my grandmother was a professional piano player, and my mother also played in the band. And when I was in grade school, they asked me, what instrument do you want to play? And they really were forthright in saying, you've got to play an instrument. And so I started on trumpet in fourth grade, and then I changed to baritone in fifth grade, and then the instrument I'm on now, French horn. And I came from a pretty good, in sixth grade, and I come from a pretty good program. And I did well in high school, middle school and high school. And then I got a bachelor's degree in music from DePaul University. And then my time at Concordia began, and that became quite a story. I'll give you the shortened version of it. I was at the right place at the right time when I played in the Chicago Metropolitan Brass Quintet, French horn, of course, and the band director, Roger Gard, was trombonist in that group. And one day he got up in a rehearsal, which met at Concordia, and he said he was leaving Concordia. And a couple of weeks later, I asked him, I said, okay, who's taking your place? He said, are you Lutheran? I go, yeah, I am. He says, well, then you have to call Dr. Paul Bunges, the department chair at that time. And I did. And they watched me conduct my high school, Proviso West High School in Hillside, Illinois. Richard Hillert and Carl Schock and Paul Bunges all came to the high school to watch me conduct my high school band. A couple weeks later, they called me and said, you did really well, but we're really looking for somebody with a minimum of a master's degree and 10 years experience. You obviously have a bachelor's degree and no experience. And one thing led to another, and I played in a group called Continental Singers, and rehearsal camp was at Azusa Pacific College in California before embarking on a 3-month tour overseas and in the United Pacific Northwest. And it was on, and while I was at Azusa Pacific College in rehearsal camp, they said, my mother called me actually and said, you got the job at Concordia. And I said, no, they didn't want me. Well, you better call Dr. Bunges. I called Dr. Bunges, and he said, well, would you take it till we find somebody else? And I began my career on September 1st, 1974. And one thing led to another. My first concert was November 10th, 1974, of course, after my first concert. And the next morning they called me in and said, we see something in you. We'll help you pay for your master's degree and your doctorate if it comes to that. And we're going to keep you. We're going to invest in you for 5 years. And then they said, we'll elevate you from instructor to assistant professor and give you tenure. And all of that happened. It's a remarkable story. It just doesn't happen that way, but it happened to me. And I know that it's a God thing all the way. It's not that I deserved it at the time. I was very green. I didn't know what I was doing. God brought great teachers into my life that they're famous across the United States. And now here I am after 51 and a half years retiring from Concordia University, Chicago.
It's really an incredible story. I know I've heard it before just because of our time together at Concordia, but
Sure.
Every time it is just amazing how God has been able to use you over these years and how he's put you into this place to impact so many students and musicians over the years. It's really incredible. Tell us about how your time at Concordia, how things changed over the years. You mentioned several musicians that if you're a Lutheran church musician, you know these names, Schalk and Bunges. Tell us how your time over your years at Concordia changed over time.
Well, when I came, there were 13 full-time music faculty, and now there's 5. So, yeah, that's it's changed a lot. The school has changed a lot. I have been through 6 university presidents, and I've been on 108 concert tours with this group in almost every state in the United States, including Alaska. And we've toured China 3 times. We've toured South Africa. We've toured all over Europe. We performed at Carnegie Hall 2 times, 2014, 2019, to 2,000 people, 3 standing ovations, which I'm very happy about, that we had that opportunity. That was a great invitation by the people on the committee of this organization. And Concordia has changed a lot because of, COVID was the big change. Let's face it. That's when the less students were available to play instruments, and the group has gotten relatively smaller since COVID time. But we've still made it happen. But I feel that it's the right time to retire now.
So your service at Concordia began in 1974, over 100 tours and numerous concerts. You mentioned all the tours. That makes me wonder, do you have any travel advice for music educators? Because you've traveled around the world with the Wind Symphony. Tell us about your favorite or best travel tips when traveling with that many students around the world.
Well, first of all, I'm writing a book right now called Connecting the Head and the Heart, the things that really matter in the making of music. And one of the chapters is there love and empathy for the audience. Not that long ago, I actually looked out on these thousands of people we played for each year, and I'm going, I don't know what's going on in their life, of course, and a lot of them are very happy, but at the same token, a lot of people are struggling today. And so all of a sudden that changed my programming. It changed how I approach the concerts and everything and what we pray about. We pray for the audience, and I gear the programming for the audience to take them on a musical journey. And that's really important to me. In fact, I should say really important to us with all my members of the organization as well and in the Wind Symphony. So that's really changed how I have pursued my career. And I've gotten a lot of great compliments, and when I shake hands with people as they leave, they don't just say, thanks for coming, nice job, which I expect, but they would talk about specific things that are going on in their lives and how a certain piece or pieces made a difference in their lives, brought them closer to Jesus, or brought a smile to their face, or got them to be more relaxed, and things like that. And so I feel that the tips to conductors is program for your audience, not just your students, and that's first importance, but what difference you're going to make in the lives of people by your programming. And that really says it all. Yeah.
What are some things you've learned over the years about that programming, about how to serve not only the students that are with you, but also the audiences that you serve with the music? How has that changed over years? What have you learned about being able to serve both of those audiences?
Well, at the beginning, I didn't know the repertoire very well at all. And then as I went through my master's degree, especially my doctorate, I learned about a lot of other composers and pieces that have become very, very important to me, and subsequently the audience, that this musical journey that I take them on. I want to change lives. I want God to work through me to change the lives of people. And that's really what it's all about. It's my students, first and foremost, and the audience members are also very important in this equation. And I want them to change their lives. They may not like every piece. I hope they do, but something I hope that made them worthwhile to attend our concerts.
Something, I don't know if you realize this or not, but that audience is not just the listeners and the audience that you experience at the concerts and the tours, but that also includes our KFUO audience. Concordia University Chicago Wind Symphony music makes up a large portion of the sacred music that we play here on KFUO. So for our listeners today who are enjoying the conversation, when you hear those pieces from Concordia University Chicago Wind Symphony, they were under the direction of Dr. Richard Fischer that we're talking with today. Favorite highlights from your years of teaching leadership at Concordia University Chicago?
Well, I'd have to say Carnegie Hall. Those were very, very special concerts. It was great to be invited in the first place, and that is very memorable. But there are many concerts that were memorable for a variety of different reasons, not just the venues we play in, although we have played at Eline Hall in Milwaukee. We played at the Meyerson in Dallas, Texas. We've played at the Leeds Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. We played at many other concert halls as well. And those are all memorable because they were very special concerts. But out of the tours, even though the China tours were phenomenal, the concert tour I think that was most memorable was the South Africa tour that we went on, where the first thing we did was going on an African safari, a real African safari, and our students who had hardly left the Midwest flying overseas to another country like South Africa, very far away, and going right out the first couple days, 3 days actually, 2 nights, 3 days, to go on a safari was very memorable. But every tour was memorable, and that's what I'm going to miss the most, is changing the lives of people through music, bringing them closer to God, hopefully, through the Holy Spirit working on the audience members who attend, and again, maybe changing their life or bringing them into the moment for a respite from life and blessing them as best I can. That's what it's all about. That's in a nutshell.
We're talking with Dr. Richard Fischer, Distinguished Professor of Music and Conductor of Concordia University Chicago's University Band and Wind Symphony, along with Adam Friedrich and Amanda Bowman, who are both CUC alumni. We need to take a quick break. You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Golseth.
I'm Andy Bates.
Who am I? How has God gifted me? Where is God calling me to serve? Concordia University St. Paul helps students explore the answers to these questions. Through a Christ-centered Lutheran higher education, dedicated faculty, and engaging academic programs, CSP is here to walk alongside you in your educational journey. With more than 100 degree programs from undergraduate to graduate offered in person and online, CSP aims to prepare you for success however God calls you. Visit csp.edu to discover and engage your calling today.
Welcome back to The Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Golseth.
I'm Andy Bates.
We're talking with Dr. Richard Fischer, Distinguished Professor of Music and Conductor of Concordia University Chicago's University Band and Wind Symphony, and retiring this year after 51 years. An amazing career. And also Adam Friedrich and Amanda Bowman, Concordia University Chicago alumni. Let's talk to the alums now about your time under Dr. Richard Fischer. Tell us about your studies at Concordia University Chicago that involved Doc Fischer. Amanda?
Well, I studied music education, and so I had a lot of time with Dr. Fischer in the Wind Symphony and in conducting classes, and I was also part of his band staff, so I got to learn from him and conversations there. So he taught me pretty much everything I know about how to incorporate music into my life. I'm not teaching currently. I'm raising my children at home, but trying to include some of that I've learned from him with them and help them love music as well.
What's your favorite memory from your time at Concordia and being a student of Dr. Fischer?
Oh boy. That's a good question. There are a lot of really good memories. I would say probably Carnegie Hall as well is one of my favorite memories with Doc. And being on that stage is incredible, of course, but we played Who Puts His Trust in the middle of the performance and got a standing ovation without any explanation to them of what it meant to us. It was really amazing. That's probably my favorite memory.
What would you say is maybe just one thing that you learned from Doc Fischer that you are so thankful that you would want to pass on to future music educators if you had the opportunity to?
Oh, definitely. I know he says it all the time, but the connecting of the head and the heart and just keeping God at the focus of everything that he does was something that I've definitely carried with me. His ability to speak boldly of his faith when he's in rehearsals, even in the university band, he knows there are people there who aren't Christians, and just to not be afraid to talk about those emotions and carrying those through the rehearsal and the performance.
Amanda, you mentioned who puts his trust in God most just. I was not in Wind Symphony. I was in Capella, so I never actually got to play under Doc. But just going to those concerts, my roommates were all in Wind Symphony, so I heard many stories. And who puts his trust is definitely, that's the highlight for me. We sang it in my church choir a few weeks ago, and I was trying to explain how you explain who puts his trust to the rest of the choir, and I couldn't do it quite like you've always done it in those concerts. But that will always have a special place in my heart for sure from those concerts. Adam, what about you? Tell us about your studies at Concordia University that involved Doc Fischer.
Yeah. So similar to Amanda and I actually went through the music ed program together. So she stole all of my answers, but I'll try to come up with some other ones. But yeah, similar to Amanda, was also in the music ed program, and both in the conducting classes and in every kind of influence of the music program, Doc was there as both a mentor and as a guide. And when I got my first job, he was also really helpful with that, not only in kind of guiding me in what to do, but, when I pursued advanced degrees in music, was a great mentor in that as well. So it's not just our time at CUC that he is a mentor and an advocate for us, but it's beyond our time, which is something I'm really, really grateful for.
Do you have a story that you will continue to share for generations to come from your time at Concordia or your relationship with Dr. Fischer?
There's not really truly one specific story that I can point to, because it's just who he is as a person that draws us into Doc, right? We talk about the tours and the highlights of those things, because Carnegie Hall, I was there at that 2014 performance as well. And yes, that was amazing to get those standing ovations. But the thing that I think about most, I think as a student and as a member of the ensemble, was his ability to communicate to the audience every night why we were there, what we were doing. But then he's consistently the same person that you see in front of a rehearsal, in front of an audience. And when he's hanging out with us on the bus, we take these long driving tours, and we got some slow time on the bus, but he'll just make his way up and down the bus, talking to everybody, being consistent about that. And his ability to make time for people. From before I was a student at Concordia Chicago, I remember calling him to tell him I was going to come to study at Concordia. And he took the time on the phone to talk to me for like an hour. I was a freshman or incoming freshman who didn't know what they were getting into, but he took the time to sit down and talk to me. What are you playing in your high school band right now? What are you doing? What are you excited about? And that has really stuck with me throughout all of this. There have been some pretty amazing things that have happened in my life, and Doc is usually in that top 5 call list to share, hey, something really exciting happened. And he still to this day makes time to sit down and ask me, what you doing? How are you doing? How's your folks? He takes the time to invest in his people.
How does that experience with Doc Fischer shape who you are and how you serve today?
Yeah, so it's all his fault is really where we're getting at here. So I'm teaching at California State University in Long Beach, California right now as the assistant director of bands. And so he has a direct influence on what I do every day. I am very, very grateful and blessed to teach at this institution with the amazing students that I have. And I get the opportunity to teach a beginning and advanced conducting class. And a lot of the things that we talked about in our conducting classes, me and Amanda, we still get to discuss with my students now. So his legacy is directly passed through me. And I accept that as a tremendous responsibility and honor. And so it's immediately affecting the next generation of music education students and music educators. So it's truly influenced me. And I think the biggest influence is that Doc has always been and always will be one of the most authentic people that I've ever met. And that is something that I don't have any fear of, being myself in front of my students, in front of my peers and my colleagues. And it's seeing it done as well as Doc does it that gives me the courage to do it myself. And that's something I really value and really appreciate about the guidance that he's given me and just the leadership that he shows every single day.
Doc, do you have any reflections hearing from Amanda and Adam about their time with you?
Well, wow, I'm so happy based on what they said, and I'm glad that I could influence people in that way, that then they in turn influence others. That means everything to me, whether it has to do with faith or music or just being an authentic person. And I couldn't be more proud of those kinds of things. Not all my accomplishments and titles, but it's the difference that you make in other people's lives. Jesus calls us to serve others. And I've made a lot of mistakes, but I feel that I did the best job I could at serving my students and serving the audiences all across the world. And I cannot thank God enough for the opportunities that he has given to me, a dream that I couldn't even come up with. And it was students like Amanda and Adam that make me very happy. Well, yeah, that's it.
And I might add, we've talked about your service at Concordia University Chicago and being the conductor of the university band and the Wind Symphony. There's another ensemble, another group that meets every 3 years that you've been involved with greatly, and that is the LCMS Youth Gathering Band.
Wow.
You've been involved with that as well. And I know we only have like a minute to wrap to share that, but just briefly, can you comment on your involvement with the LCMS Youth Gathering Band and being a part of that?
I'm going to miss it. I've done it 8 times, and it was just absolutely incredible to do that, to create part of the music for that service that accompanies the hymns, etc., and to make a difference in tens of thousands of people's lives. That's where you reach a real lot of people. And all those high school students, I got to audition and rehearse, and then you go out into these gigantic stadiums and to accompany, conduct and accompany 20, 25,000 people is something that is indescribable. It's sort of like hints at heaven and what that's going to be like. But I am deeply honored to have done this 8 times. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Now, you mentioned a book. What else is next for you? What's next in this next chapter for you?
Well, the next chapter is to get the book done, to be honest with you. My editor just contacted me, and we're going to meet this week, and she's really excited about what I said in the book, and I'll be able to put all my time into that. I got to get that done. And I believe it's not just writing a book. I don't care if I make a penny on the book, but I think what I say in the book is really, really important. Chapters, again, on love and empathy for the audience and vulnerability and faith and heart and programming and extrinsic and intrinsic music experiences. I just think the word needs to get out because some of these things are rarely talked about. And I think I'm just hoping that it gets in the right hands, especially of young conductors who have just graduated from any school, to say, if you really want to be successful, you want to feel good about yourself as a conductor, it's not about winning a contest. It's about the people you serve and the audiences that you want to change. And we don't talk about that. Nobody ever talked about that in my classes during my bachelor's, master's, and even doctorate. So I'm hoping it gets in the right hands to make a difference.
Our guests today, Adam Friedrich and Amanda Bowman, Concordia University Chicago alumni. Adam, thanks for being our guest.
Thanks for having me.
Amanda, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me too.
And Dr. Richard Fischer, Distinguished Professor of Music and conductor of Concordia University Chicago's University Band and Wind Symphony for over 50 years. Dr. Fischer, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and being our guest today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Glad to be here.
You've been listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit kfuo.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@kfuo.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.